Hey, I'm UHF, the unofficial hero funhouse. We're going to talk about how to speed up your combat in the hero system, and you can use it for other role-playing games. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment down below on your ideas to add to speed up the combat. First thing you need to do is make sure you keep notes and be organized. Be sure to know your character if you're a player, and know your NPCs if you're GM, and know what they can do. Plan your actions in advance. Your first 3 minimum, and usually the most powerful thing you can do if you're a superhero, or the thing your character does most often, have those planned ahead and in your notes, so you know exactly what you're going to do in that first time you get into combat. The next thing you can do to speed up combat is add more roleplay. For instance, let's say there are a lot of mooks, a lot of low-powered, low-level combatants that the players could easily take out. You can just roleplay the combat. You don't even have to do die rolls. That'll speed it up. The second thing for more roleplay is after the combat is resolved, roleplay the rest. The enemy's running away, or coup de grace the rest of the combatants. And finally, roleplay the finishing move. The more roleplay, the faster combat will feel, and also faster combat will be. Also, what we can do is limit. Typically, there are 3 players in a GM, but if you feel you can handle more, great. But if you have less, the combat's going to go a lot faster. Now we come to dice. You can do some pre-rolls and also use a dice pool. When it comes to a dice pool, it's similar to doing the pre-dice rolls, but instead of using them in order, you use them when you need them. You have certain die rolls that you use for your 2-hit. You mark off the ones that you decide to use depending on how much success you need. And also, you can also pre-roll your damage dice. If you do that, it's going to make your combat go a lot faster. Suggest this for your players as well. Since we're talking about dice, another thing you can do is doing your hit and damage rolls together. This section deals more with the players and how they can make it go faster. First of all, they need to know how their character works. And that means how their attacks work, if they need their 2-hit, their bonuses, all that. They should know this by the back of their hand. It's going to be more difficult with new players, but in time, they'll know where everything is on the character sheet. With those new players, you can organize it so their character sheet is such so they know where everything is. Next, when coming with players, is make sure that they're paying attention. A good way to do this, if they appear to not be paying attention, is have their character find something, even if it's a minor detail in the situation they're in. Make them do a die roll, just to keep them on their toes. Next thing you need to do when it comes to players is to focus on each one. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? If you give each character the spotlight, you'll get not just their attention, but they will greatly appreciate the role play. Happen so the players can see the combat order or initiative. If they see where they're coming in the order, if they see, oh, there's 2 players going before me, I better figure out what I got to do now. My turn's coming up. So give them a little bit of an attention getter, which we discussed earlier, and also gives them notice that their turn's coming up and they better know what they want to do. Another thing to get your players to act quickly is to use a timer. You can use a simple exam timer, which can be as few as 30 seconds if you so desire, or longer if you like. Or you can get a more expensive digital timer, or there's even ones that sound like a ticking time bomb if you really want to boost up the suspense. And they vary from just a couple dollars for the same timers to $5 or more for the more sophisticated digital or bomb type timer. Now a few things for you GMs to make combat go faster. The first thing is you can lower the body, stun, or hit points when it comes to D&D, or whatever your health statistic in your game is. If you lower that, it's going to make the combat go faster. But when you do so, make sure to keep in mind your character's capabilities on dealing damage. This next tip goes along with the previous tip. If you're going to lower your health, you're going to have to increase the damage output of your NPCs, monsters, whatever you are going against the players with. Again, keep in mind what the defenses and capabilities of the players are and their characters. Next thing you can do as a GM is to run the damage done to your characters by 10. Stun damage when it comes to hero, hit points, whatever the health statistic in your game is, divided by 10. And just keep track of your 10s. If your character can take 40 stun, you divide it by 10, boom. 5 or higher, mark it. If it's less than 5, don't mark it, even if it's a hit. It evens out in the end, and the players are none the wiser. Another way you can make combat go faster is to tell the player what the target number is. May it be the number they need to make a successful on, or the DCV of the target, or the AC of the target if you're talking D&D. Whatever it is they need to succeed, tell the player what the target number is. Another thing for GMs can do is don't roll for damage for your opponents. Meaning, when the monsters or the supervillains or whatever that is attacking the players, use standard effect, or for people playing other games, use average damage. That lessens the die rolls, which makes the combat go faster. As part of your notes, use a combat record with the player's dexterity, what phases they go on, their speed, their combat values, any additional notes you feel that you need to keep track of the combat order. Or if you so desire, if you have Hero Designer, I suggest using the Combat Manager. It'll come in handy and I'll set all that up for you. If you're playing D&D, same thing. Have the list of your players, their AC, their attack bonuses, if any, on their most common attacks and so forth. So you know what can happen during your combat turn. Finally, the final tip, the Minion Rule. If you feel that your players, the group, needs a combat, and you don't want to roleplay it out even though it could easily defeat the characters, or there's a lot of little guys and there's a big bad they're finally getting at the end, use the Minion Rule, which means one hit and they're done. If they want to roll damage dice for it, let them, but they just have to make a 2-hit, boom, the minion is out of the way. It'll slow them down before getting to the big bad, so the big bad can plan out whatever he's going to do. But gives something for the players to do, and also gives you a chance to reduce their resources, to have them use spells or powers or endurance or whatever, depending on your game system, to reduce their resources. So when it comes to getting to the big bad, they may be powered down just a little bit, just to make the combat interesting at the end.